What about your children? Because, of course, it's very unusual that you've been a single dad while building these 5 startups. And I had a period in my life when I was a single mother, so I have lots of empathy and compassion and understanding of this situation. I would love to hear a bit more about that experience.
Yes, thank you for asking about that. I love talking about this experience, and it is interesting. I don't run across a lot of other male entrepreneurs that were single dads. I do run across a number of women who figured out how to be able to both, start a family and start a company, and figure out how to be able to do that at the same time, and oftentimes by themselves. And I am always just amazed at hearing those kinds of stories, because I think they're incredible and I think they're very hard. I have a couple observations about it. I think the first off is that I think it was hard on my children. I don't think it was probably fair, because with the entrepreneurial journey comes an implicit agreement that you are going to be a bit of a workaholic. And this is not a 9-to-5 job that you just clock out of and then you don't think about until the next day. You're always thinking about it. And that robs your family of a lot of things. And if you don't have a 2-partner system where, I would joke a lot that at least, if it was like, 2 parents and 2 kids, you can play man-to-man defense. When you're one parent and you have 2 kids, you got to play zone defense, and that's all you got. And you got to try to figure out how to be able to cover both of them. At the same time, you're still trying to, figure out how to knock out the rent and make some money and build this business. And so those are things that I think we as entrepreneurs can do. But it does rob our children of a certain level of joy and probably peace that they would have otherwise gotten. And so my kids' version of that is they like to joke now that they're adults that they were raised by a wolf. And I think that kind of sums up perfectly kind of what their upbringing was like. I'm happy to report that they are both wonderful, well-adjusted adults at this point in time. They're both making their dent in the universe. My daughter is actually one of my co-founders at my latest startup, which is not something I would have imagined would have been happening or that I would have pursued, but it is one of the great joys of my career so far, and I've really, really thoroughly enjoyed that.
Amazing. What does your son do?
My son is, we're kind of also a little bit in business together. So we have a family home out in Seattle. I live in New York City. My daughter lives in Brooklyn. That's where my company is founded. We moved from Seattle, though, about 10 years ago. And so after my son graduated from high school, he went back to the West Coast to go to college. And so then he started caretaking our second home that was out there. And so it's on property, and it has, a couple of buildings. And so he has to maintain those, keep them up. And he loves to work with his hands, and he is extremely handy. And anything that is mechanical or that he can use a wrench to fix, he is all about it. And so it is he and I. We do not have any of the same characteristics that way, but in terms of needing to operate within our own vision, that is a very consistent trait between the two of us. And so he manages that property, lives in one of the buildings, and keeps that cash flowing. And just got done with school, and so now he's looking for his next full-time gig.